What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game for High School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. There's a reason these videos keep coming. In fact, the reasons continue to multiply every day. And to be very honest, my fellow PlayStation fans, you guys actually make this a reality. I'm not going to argue against your comments actually being here because I think we need to continue examining them because you all like to double down, especially when the reality is facing you. And in your bid to, in a sense, stand and, I don't know, maybe defend PlayStation as if it's some, I don't know what it is, some glorious thing to do, you make very critical mistakes in the things that you say. And to me, I just feel like we have to keep pointing this stuff out so that people don't go around saying them without actually putting in good thought into exactly what is going on. An audience member of mine said that PlayStation is superior to Xbox. Do you know why they had to say that? They had to say that simply because we are all well aware of the fact that PlayStation is threatened by Xbox. You guys know that, right? If you've been watching the Video Game for High School channel, I continue to bring up this article written by Jess Corden where he shows the PlayStation documents that leaked when Insomniac got hacked, and PlayStation basically pointing out the various ways that Xbox is a threat to them. In seeing this, you know already that in live service games, in delivery of games, in having access to PC, cloud, and console, according to PlayStation, they said that Sony's pillars are already dated and behind the competition. So when PlayStation says it, there's almost, in some PlayStation fans, the need to try to, in a sense, disagree with PlayStation. So today, I'm going to argue against a PlayStation fan, but I'm going to actually be arguing for PlayStation, the corporation themselves. I'm literally I'm in alternate universe right now, and I don't know what to do with myself. This person said in a video that I made, they said, PlayStation is superior to Xbox. There's no debate. Oh my gosh. In a world where a document like this exists that says that PlayStation is threatened by Microsoft's new moves since getting Activision, and even with seeing how their Bethesda acquisition is going, there is no debate. So I'm coming from the PlayStation perspective, bringing my receipts, saying, excuse me, dear fellow PlayStation fan, I think you must have dropped this document here. Read this so that we can get on the same page. They continued further with their own argument and said, PlayStation has better first-party games. That's subjective because apparently PC players are not any longer amazed by them. They're looking at them and going, we'll get them on sale. Even though they can mod the PlayStation PSN requirement off of them, they don't want to still pay $60 for God of War Ragnarok, a game that's been out for a few years. It's subjective. That's super subjective. In fact, seeing the way PC players are behaving these days, that's subjective. Seeing the way Until Dawn folded, it's very subjective. And better third-party exclusives. This is where we end the argument because this gentleman or lady just said that PlayStation has better third-party exclusives. Huh? PlayStation doesn't own those exclusives. They don't belong to them. Their studios never made them. Those exclusives belong, or what they are money-hatted games that belong to other studios. PlayStation did not conceive, did not make these games. They basically went in there in their bid to pretty much try to make Xbox irrelevant. They went in and paid these studios a fee or a sum to make these games partially exclusive, timed exclusivity anyways, and they wanted that to be so that their console can look like it's better. You're basically falling for it. Inside of the studio, they're panicking. Outside, they're using perception. I just whacked my mic. They're using perception to get you to the point where you believe in your brain somewhere that they have better third-party exclusives. Like which ones? The ones that are already on PC? How exclusive are they? Or the ones that are not really selling as hot? How good are they that they're not selling within the ranks of PlayStation? Rise of the Ronin, you think we're not paying attention to the sales data? So if I was from inside the play, I'll be like, y'all, if I was from inside play, if I was arguing for PlayStation, I'll bring that document and hand it over to that gentleman and say, sit down, let's have a coffee. So we money hatted these games for y'all. And we made you guys these so-called first, party exclusives that you say you like, but y'all didn't buy them. Y'all were busy buying Call of Duty. Why? And then they're here telling me this. This is hard for me to believe. Better studios. Huh? That's subjective. Naughty Dog just made The Last of Us Part 2 and then canceled Factions. Ubisoft literally has a studio that's basically, for the most part, partially supporting The Division 2, and they made 2 single-player games. Yes, one of the single-player games did not hit. One of them was decent but didn't sell, but they banged it all out. I would argue against that so-called better studios. Or I would say, okay, Santa Monica, Sucker Punch, they made some decent games, but they take long to make their games. They're not in a development pipeline like other studios. They don't even have to make games day one for multiple platforms, whereas everybody else has to do it. I'd argue against that from a logistics perspective and from a workload perspective. Let's not even bring that into the conversation because that's also subjective. If we actually say, okay, by what measure, then you kind of have to come out here and say, okay, A, B, C, D, E, and I'm going to bring my own criteria. And I'm sure that every PlayStation studio will buckle under it just simply because of the multi-platform side. A better controller, that's subjective. I don't buy PlayStation controllers anymore after the DS4. I can't use most of them. I finally had to force myself to learn DS5 for Mortal Kombat because I can only use PlayStation controllers. Well, I thought I could only use PlayStation controllers, but apparently I've been learning a little bit of the Xbox One. VR compatibility, that'd be PC. As far as the show, it would have been suicide to make a baseball game not licensed to MLB. Well, Konami says hold my beer because they did a non-licensed game for a long time for soccer. And if PlayStation can't cut it while Konami can cut it, then this PlayStation you're talking about can't even stand up to whatever it is that you're trying to say they're superior at. My dude, all this talk is just talk. Like, you act like we don't know the gaming industry. You see, this is the problem. Like, we haven't played video games ever. You live in this bubble where you think everybody else is in the same bubble with you, and they haven't been outside or haven't even gone around to play other video games or haven't even experienced what is going on outside of PlayStation. I play on PlayStation. I've experienced PlayStation. So there's nothing you want to actually throw from PlayStation that would shock me. I think that's the biggest challenge. When you make these comments, realize that you're making these comments to a fellow PlayStation fan. Yeah. Oh, because I'm not sitting out here kowtowing and bowing down to everything PlayStation does. I don't even know much about the Xbox ecosystem. I only started learning about it just a few years ago. So again, this is in my opinion, some of the strangest thing I've ever seen. How can you come out and say that when inside of PlayStation they're finding ways to mitigate how much they are behind Xbox? Superior? Do you know what superior means? Do you know what superior means? Superior will be like, oh, Mount Everest is superior to freaking Mount Kilimanjaro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be like superior. Not like inside someone is over there saying, oh, we're behind the competition. And then you come out with a conclusion that is just strange out of nowhere. It's like the fanboy podcast conclusion, like the ones that we've seen all over the place. It's so interesting, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know how else to actually say this, but I have seen some really crazy stuff, and I'm sure that all of you are seeing it, even with me. It's interesting. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.